Yo, what up, though? I got Brother Ben X in the building. What's going on, man?
Going black-tastic for me.
Hey, man, you known all over the place right now. YouTuber, author, what I'm saying? Activist, journalist, doing classes, professional, man. I mean, a professor, man. What is it that you're not doing right now, man?
What I'm not doing is being lazy and making excuses on why I can't be productive and why people can't rise. So that's what I'm not doing.
Oh, yeah. And is there anything right now that, to add to your title that you're not doing yet that you got in the future that you plan on doing that you haven't done yet?
Well, the beginning of the year, I began to post something called 2020 Vision Ben. And that's basically things that I want to speak into existence. One of those things is I want to build a business center where our people can learn how to do something for ourselves. I think a lot of people are spiritually and mentally dead. And because of that, we find ourselves on jobs that's causing us to hate ourselves, become depressed, and really just miserable. So I want to show our people how to do something for themselves so they can become financially free. So when they get up in the morning, they're not serving the banks, they're not serving the boss, they're serving God, or they're serving whoever or whatever that they want to, but they have the choice to make that decision. So I want to start a business school. I want to eventually make my academy free one day, and just continue to give life to the dead, man, on a mass scale larger than what I'm doing right now.
Okay, so I visited the website earlier today. And so for these classes, if people wanted to join up for these classes or register for the classes, they will go to the website, correct?
Yeah, so you can go to www.brotherbenx.com, and that's where you can find a lot of the courses and my podcast, things of that nature.
Okay, so you got into the books. Tell me a little bit about the book, the inspiration that you drew for to get this book, and where can we find it?
Honestly, my inspiration for the book is I'm interested in just speaking things into existence.
Okay.
I'm a brother who dropped out of college, and because I dropped out of college, that usually has a stigma on it to where you can't be an author, you can't be a businessman. You're supposed to have a degree and go work for somebody else, or if you do work for somebody else, you got to have this big business degree. And that's just not my story. And I want to be someone who represents for all of the people who went through that, even though the world told you that you can't do something that you can. So I just decided to take one of my video lectures and turn it into a book, because somebody may be watching me on Instagram, somebody may be watching me on YouTube, somebody may be listening to me on a podcast, but somebody may like to read. So I want to find different avenues to get the information out to our people as many ways as I can, so I can hit as many people, because everybody don't read the same, everybody don't learn the same. That's one of the reasons why I do short films as well, because millions of people listen to me speak, but some people may want to get it in an art form and film form. So that was the motivation for me starting the book, man, just trying to bring information in another way.
And the name of that book, and where can we find it to purchase it?
The book is called Separation or Death, The Mindset of Self-Employment. The reason it's called Separation or Death, because I believe in order for us as a community to really, truly grow and be an independent nation, we have to separate from the enemy's mindset and from their jobs so that we can focus on what we need to build individually and community-wise and as a nation. You can get it from www.brotherbenx.com, or you can click the Linktree link in my bio on Instagram, go all the way down, and you can get the book, or you can just Google Brother Ben X book and it'll pop right up.
Okay. So with the book, it's self-published, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So can you take me through because I'm not an author, but sometimes I ponder upon, maybe delving into that process. So for those who are authors, how do you self-publish a book?
There's a site called Lulu that you can go to.
Okay.
lulu.com. Basically what I did was I transcribed my lecture, but you can write yours in your notes section on your phone. You can write it in Word. You can actually pay somebody on Fiverr. That's Fiverr.com. They're very cheap. Find somebody on Fiverr who can actually organize your words. They can make an outline of the table of contents. They can set up chapters, table of contents, chapters, and they can do your format for you. And they can upload it straight to Lulu as well. So the basic steps is make sure that you got a cover made. Make sure that you got your words or your text in your Word document or on your notes. Make sure that you find somebody that knows how to format it, knows how to upload it. And that's simply it. And when it comes to selling, if you don't want to go through them, because the reason I went through them is because it's almost like drop shipping.
Yeah.
What drop shipping is, they have the website up. I don't have to build my own website.
Okay.
Every time somebody buys a book, I don't have to put it together and send it out myself. The company sends it out and I just make my profit. But if someone says, I want to do it all myself and I want to ship out my own books, the best thing to do is put together the book, get the book made. And what you can do is get pre-sales and use that pre-sale money to go out and pay for your expenses. That's for your books. That's for your shipping, things of that nature. So that's how you basically produce a book.
So I see you heavy in the YouTube game, man. So I need you to give me, because I'm new to this whole YouTube world. So I'm trying to build my subscribers up. I'm pretty happy, for the last 2 months. Oh, the last month, I got almost 200 subscribers. So I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing. But can you give me some tips and some tricks to help continue to mold and build my YouTube channel, man? Because I'm really trying to figure this out.
It's honestly about consistency, like everything else. It took us 9 months to come out of the womb of our mothers, and we are the greatest creation here on the earth. So if it took us 9 months to build, why are we stopping at 9 days to build a YouTube channel? Why are we stopping at 90 days to build a business? Oftentimes we don't have enough patience. So it took me from 2010 all the way up until now. Now my old YouTube channel got terminated. They deleted that back in back in December of last year. But I had 40 million plus views,
wow.
146 something thousand plus subscribers. But I was consistent among the way I actually post 2 to 3 times per day, and I had a focus. So when you come to my channel, you knew Brother Ben was going to be talking about the Nation of Islam. You knew Brother Ben was going to be covering the current event. I was going to be giving some type of value. You must know what you're serving or who you're serving and what you're going to be serving them, because once people start to subscribe to you, they're going to be looking forward to that particular content. What do I mean by that? If you started off as a barber and you got a lot of people that's giving you subscribers or subscribing to your channel as a barber, and you switch up and now you showing people how to make ice cream, you're not going to get many views, because the people who subscribe to you so that you can teach them how to be a barber. Well, that's the same thing with anything else. You got to be consistent with what you're doing. You got to remember that YouTube is the second largest search engine. So it's about tags. It's about SEO, which is search engine optimization. So when you're doing a video, don't put in the title something that you would say. What I mean by that, if I would say hood brownies, if I got slang around the streets and I say, man, I got them hood brownies. If I posted on YouTube, I wouldn't say hood brownies. I would say how to make chocolate brownies, how to make chocolate chip brownies. So I got to make a video with a title that has the consumer in mind, not myself in mind. And then when you want to put that in your title, you want to put keywords in your description. Keywords is basically words that people are searching for, and that's actually how I blew up on YouTube the first time. I cover current events. So when something happens in the Black community, I make a video about it. It's in the title. His name is in the description. His name is in the tag. So when you're looking for it, you run into my video. So I wouldn't say, make a video and say, I'm bored. There's literally people who do that. Nobody's searching on YouTube for I'm bored.
Wow.
So you want to search for how to find your purpose. These are things that you call evergreen. People going to forever be learning how to do my own makeup, how to do crochet braids, how to cut hair, how to fix a tire. These are things that people are going to be searching for 10 years plus. And so that's pretty much the blueprint of how to build on social media. Make sure that your titles are right. Make sure that your content is consistent, and make sure that your tags is right. And don't focus on the camera. So many people wait until they get a good camera. There's people making millions of dollars and getting millions of views by simply making a video with their cell phone. It's because of their story. And just remember that you are what makes you unique.
Oh, that's dope, man. So you brought up something interesting. So now the next question, how do I keep from getting my YouTube page canceled? Because I didn't know yours got. So what happened with that?
They said that I said something of hate speech. They didn't tell me what the video was. It could have been a video of the minister. It could have been a video of mine. But I just feel like on these platforms that they're ran by people who don't necessarily want the truth out, because you got videos on there of people twerking. You got videos of people nude on there. You got some videos on Facebook and YouTube of people dying and just slandering and talking about killing people. And that's still up on YouTube, but they took mine down for so-called hate speech. So I would say, of course, just stay within the rights and the agreements, the terms and agreement of YouTube. But honestly, I don't know what's gonna get you taken down these days, because they didn't even tell me what the video was or what was said.
Okay. So I see read an article on you. Basketball was your passion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this article, it said, since the age of 2, you began playing basketball, man.
Mm-hmm.
Who introduced basketball to your life, and how did it become so prevalent?
I honestly I don't remember who exactly introduced basketball to my life, but all of my family members, my cousins, they was into basketball, they was into football. And I just fell in love with the game. You know, I don't know what it particular was, but I just fell in love with the game, and it was something that was fun to me. It's something that eventually was a release for me. I think everybody needs a release. Basketball still is my release in some ways. So I think I just began to fall in love with the game. People around me kind of gave me that positive influence or a positive reinforcement that I was good at it. And I just stayed at it. Brothers would give me $5 if I dribble between my legs all the way down the street. So I just had so many reinforcements around me, and I just fell in love with the game of basketball.
So with those reinforcements, what was your family dynamic like? Did you grow up in a home with a 2-parent household? Like, what was that like for you growing up?
To start off, I was actually born in prison.
Okay, wow.
My first time meeting or seeing my biological father was in his casket. My biological mother, I recall seeing her or being with her maybe one time. And I also had 21 biological brothers and sisters.
Wow.
And I only know of maybe 6 of them. So I grew up in a home because my biological mother's cousin, who I call mom now, she picked me up 10 days later from the hospital. So I grew up the only child, but I knew of 4 of my biological sisters. I didn't meet my other 2 brothers who are on my dad's side until after he ended up passing away. So I always had a yearn to be around siblings because I knew I had them, but I grew up in an only child environment. So basketball was a way for me to stay busy. That's how I also got into doing videos and skits. So anybody who's been following me for a while know I do skits as well. I got videos of me talking to myself in the same frame as well. And that grew from me wanting to talk to a baby brother, me wanting to talk to an older brother. So the conversations that I had in my head, I would have that with myself and create content for the world. And, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, adversity is the mother of creativity. So I didn't let the condition of me being born, I didn't let the condition of me growing up or the situation that I was in stop me from being creative or stop me from being productive. That was actually like fuel to my fire to go out and just be something in this world.
So that's very touching, man, because seeing your father for the first time in the casket and your mother, is she out? How long was she? Who was it? So what was your relationship with your mother?
My biological mother?
Biological mother.
I didn't live with her. She dead as well.
Okay, she passed. So did she pass, right? Like, what made her not, what kept you from being with your biological mother after birth?
Well, she did drugs. She was on crack, I believe. And I remember I was taken over there one time to stay with her, and it's not that she gave me back, but I was just going over to spend time, and she was like, I cry too much. I cry a lot. But she just wasn't in a condition, I guess, to take care of a child, you know. So I was given away to, my mom now, which is her biological cousin.
So growing up, did they always tell you like, okay, this is your biological mom and the relationship, or was it a point in time in your life where they was like, okay, let's have a sit down, I'm not really your mom?
No, she always told me that. She told me everything. She told me about, certain family members, because I didn't get any money from my father dying. Certain family members was stopping me from getting money. She told me about, this is your real father right here. This is your real mother. This is what happened. You was born in prison. You got 21 brothers and sisters. So she always was honest with me and told me about everything.
Okay, so with knowing that, did you ever grow up, and probably natural, but you ever grow up with any resentment towards your parents?
Yeah. I used to think early on that it didn't affect me, but growing up, I used to think in my head, I wonder what my father would do. I wonder what my biological father looked like when he was younger. I used to have thoughts like, why didn't he come and get me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why didn't he ask about me? So I had those thoughts definitely as well. I actually used to look up his name and try to see if I can see any pictures, see any stories about him. I recently looked up his obituary, and I found out that the same day that his obituary went public is actually the same exact day that my book published.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what was your father's background like, you know what I'm saying, up to his death? Like, did he live like on a kind of a straight and narrow? Like, what was his story?
I honestly have no idea. I heard he was a pimp or something.
Okay.
I don't know. You know, some things are kind of vague.
Okay.
Because when I was younger, I used to try to put things in the back of my head.
I got you.
Like I had one dream before. I had a dream that my mom was screaming out, crying. This is the only really dream I remember of her. And she was like, they trying to kill me.
Wow.
And, you know, she was doing drugs or whatever. And she said, they trying to kill me. But as far as my biological father goes, all I know is that he worked for the city.
Okay.
Had a bunch of children, obviously. And that's pretty much it. I know, I also know that I have his mother was Hispanic or Mexican, so I got a little of that in me. And I don't know any of those family members. In fact, I just recently found one of my brothers on his side by looking up the obituary. So I started to go through the names that I read and looked them up on Facebook. And I saw one and I said, this must be him. So I hit him up and that's actually him. So I just recently, like literally maybe 6 months ago, found a new brother that I never met before.
Are you on a quest to try to find all of them?
Not really.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got you. Really. So growing up, you know, so now you're in the household with your cousin, who's acting as your mom, and you into sports. So this is your relief. How good were you at basketball? Like any accolades that you achieved through it?
Yeah, I was an All-American basketball player.
Oh wow,
so,
okay.
When I got my sophomore year, I was scoring 40 points. I was number 15 in the country in my position. Well, just number 15 in the country. I think both years, or I know for sure one of the years, I led the nation in assists.
Okay.
And I was about number 13 in scoring. So, you know, some people say you had so many points as a point guard, you must didn't pass, but I was actually number 1 in assists. And that, so I was an All-American basketball player. I was all-region in high school.
Okay.
All region when I got to college as well. So I got a few accolades growing up playing basketball.
So getting to college. So I assume you went to try to go to college or did go to college to play basketball. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about that transition and how did that pan out for you?
Yeah, I was an All-American in college.
Oh man,
basketball.
Okay. What
so
school?
I went to Cedar Valley.
Okay.
I was supposed to go to Idaho State out of high school, but right before I got signed, that particular coach got fired, so I didn't go there. So I went off to Cedar Valley for 2 years. I became All-American there. Then I went to Lamar University.
Okay.
So I had a great time at Cedar Valley. That's actually where I was introduced to the Nation of Islam by Brother Malik in my Black History class that I was taking. But once I went off to college, Lamar University, I was supposed to be on a scholarship, but they had too many players there that was on scholarship. So they was waiting on somebody to either leave or I had to wait the following year. So what happened was, and the reason I ended up quitting is because I just kind of fell out of love with basketball at that time. I started to really fall in love with the teachings and helping our people. I felt more at peace to provide a message on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and get the feedback that I'm changing lives than me scoring 40 points playing a basketball game. Plus, I was going to go into debt in college because I wasn't on a scholarship. So they had told me that this one person was going to end up leaving because they wanted everybody to cut their dreads on the basketball team. One guy didn't cut his dreads, but he was still on scholarship. They told me if he didn't, then he wouldn't be playing and I would get his scholarship. Well, he wasn't playing, but I didn't get the scholarship. So I wasn't going to continue to stay there going into debt. I wasn't really learning anything in class. And so I was already falling out of love with basketball. So I left. Started my own business and kind of got a job, let that fund my business, and then went on from there.
Okay, so in college, being introduced to the Nation of Islam, prior to coming into the Nation, what was your foundation as far as faith?
Baptist.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, the typical, you know, I'm going to church on Easter, you know,
okay.
I'm going on New Year's, we going during Christmas. I was always into the scriptures though. I could talk about God forever, It seemed like whenever I have a conversation about God, I just gain energy. You know what I mean? I'm always up. Me and my teammates would stay up talking about the Bible and things of that nature. But I was considered Baptist.
Okay. So coming to what about the Nation of Islam when it was presented to you that intrigued you, that made you decide to like go ahead and jump into that faith?
Honestly, it was seeing the work. The Bible says that you can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. I read in the scripture where it says, pick up your cross and follow me. And when you follow me, you're going to be persecuted. You're going to be lied on. You're going to be hated on. I saw that in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I also saw that after I started to follow him. And I seen them going to the streets. You know, oftentimes you have those who are holier than thou. If you got tattoos, you want to condemn them. If they sagging their pants, you want to condemn them. You're condemning everybody who's not coming to the church. But the Nation of Islam, they went to the brothers in the hood. They didn't stray away and say, "Oh, I don't mess with y'all." Because even I also looked in scripture and it said that Jesus sat with the sinners. And they were saying, "Why are you sitting over there sitting with the sinners?" He said, "Man, because I'm the doctor. I'm the one who's supposed to be going over there and helping those who need the medicine. You know, I'm supposed to help them heal." So if he was in the highways and the byways and he was sitting with the sinners, well, that's what I believe someone who is supposed to be following Christ should be doing. So as a FOI, when I see them going door to door in the worst neighborhoods and I'm seeing a brother who was a pimp, now he's a family man, a brother who was a murderer, now he's giving life, a sister who was a prostitute, now she's a wife and she's helping and she's dignifying herself, I say this must be a teaching that I need. Then it teaches me that the black man is God. Then it teaches me that God is a being of force and power, and that power dwells within yourself. The minister also said, if I took a picture of this whole room and I showed you the picture, who's the first person you're going to look for?
If you took a picture and you showed the whole room.
If I took a picture, there's a bunch of people in here, and I took a picture and I showed y'all the picture, who's the first person you're going to look for?
Yeah.
You're going to look for yourself, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so everybody's going to look for yourself. So he said the reason that we're not interested in the religion of today, the reason we're not interested in the education of today is because we don't see ourselves in the picture of life. So he showed us where we was in the scripture. He showed us where we are in education. He showed us who we are as black men, the original men of the planet Earth. It's not some two white Adam and Eve who we come from, because you can get the recessive. You can't get the dominant from the recessive, but you can get the recessive from the dominant. So he teaches us that, hey, we don't have any birth record. The white man have a 6,000-year-old birth record, and that's not racism. White scientists have backed this up. So when I realized, hold on, man, I'm first. Hold on, they grafted from us. We are guys. We have the ability to take whatever's in our mind and manifest it through the right teaching in the righteous way. This is the teaching for me. And so I just continue to follow it. I follow Muhammad Ali's interviews. I listened to the minister online. He answered a lot of questions that I had about the Bible, and he made it plain. It wasn't no spooky stuff to where snakes is talking and heaven is somewhere after we die. He made it relatable to where I can understand it. And so that's why I knew it was for me.
Okay. With that being said, like, and I asked Brother Shout this when I interviewed him recently. I said, he brought up kind of the same perspective of black being a dominant gene, and his belief though that the black woman is God. But of course, you know, the being a dominant gene and white is coming from the recessive gene. Doesn't that just mean that the concept of black and white really doesn't exist? It's just that we're all black and we're just all different shades of that quote unquote black, since everything derived originally from black.
You could say it there. I've heard Jane Elliott break it down that way. But when you graft something all the way out, I think that's what makes it different. And it's not necessarily a skin color either. It's a mindset that is the difference. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that they are that way by nature and we are righteous by nature. And anything that you have grafted is a devil. It can be a fruit. It can be whatever. Anything that's grafted that is in contrary to the original, that would be a devil. So I wouldn't call them necessarily a different shade of black, although we can make that shade, we can make that color. So in that aspect, in that context, yes, but mindset wise, That is really the difference. So somebody is not evil because of their skin color, because like you said, we actually can make that shade. You can't get two dark-skinned African people and they can produce somebody who we would call an albino, or somebody that's very light-skinned. We can even produce somebody who has blonde hair. But it's the mindset that really separates the two. And that's what the mindset and the history that they have with us, that's what separates them from them being our brothers in that aspect.
Okay. So joining the nation in college, you jump right into that. Basketball became something in the past for you, in the for mind for you or whatnot, and you jump into I guess being active in Islam. At what point did you ever legally change your name to Ben X, or what made you decide to choose that name for yourself?
Well, it's not chosen. When you come into the Nation of Islam, everybody gets an X. So we write our letter and we get an X, and it's not necessarily something that we go down and legally change.
Sorry about that. Get it, man. We can get it. Sorry about that. We're going to cut back in. My bad.
All right. So it's not something that that I necessarily legally change. Everybody goes in and they get the last name X because X means unknown. So we don't know who we are. You know, we've been robbed of our God, our culture, our language, our name. So when you have the last name Johnson, somebody who has the last name Johnson is from the Johnson plantation. Somebody who got the last name Smith is from the Smith plantation. And when you look at a Chinese person, if they came in here and said, my name is John Lee, or not necessarily John Lee, but John Smith or John Johnson, you would look at them crazy because that's a little off. But we're the only people that have the same last names as them or a same similar name as them. And nobody would look at us crazy because that just how it is, because we have been given their names. So when we come in, you can get it legally changed, but because we can be given a name by the minister, I'll wait till he gives us a name to actually legally change it. So you may get the last name Ali, you may get the last name Muhammad, you may change your first name. So once, I just didn't want to change it 2 times, but as Malcolm X said in one of his interviews, you know, they didn't have to necessarily legally change it to make my last name what it is right now, according to the government. So to me, if you ask me, when I sign my name, I sign it as Brother Ben X, although legally it may be something else. Okay. Because it basically was never my name at all.
I'm going to go to this now. Bear with me. Okay. Of course, you know, all this I'm going to edit out. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit. You belong to the mosque in Fort Worth. What's the name of that mosque?
Muhammad Mosque number 52.
Okay. And how long have you been a part of that mosque?
Well, I started off in Waxahachie Study Group. I was in Waxahachie Study Group about 4 years. I've been a part of this mosque for about maybe 7 months, 6 or 7 months.
Okay. And so like most of us aren't, I mean, when we look at, you know, me, I'm originally from Detroit, right? So when I see brothers from the nation, you know, I see them out with the Final Call newspaper. You know, we always talk about fruit and bean pies. You know what I'm saying? That's what we see. And being in like a quote unquote predominant Christian nation, you see most of the youth work that you typically see. You see a lot how the church move with the youth and the tools and the assets sometimes the church have for the youth. We don't necessarily always hear what the mosque have. So like what's some programs, some things that y'all have available at the mosque for the homeless, the youth, etc.?
Well, as far as the youth, we have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that's going to take them from being just a boy to a man. We also have something called Junior FOI. So if anybody have ever attended Savior's Day, you'll see a bunch of young brothers. When I go to Detroit, which is going to be basically next week, I'm going to see a bunch of brothers.
Okay.
Young brothers, young sisters. I'm talking about starting at the age of 4, starting at the age of 5, learning how to drill, learning about discipline. So we have our own schools, Muhammad University of Islam, a big university out there in Chicago. We have a school ran by a brother out here in Dallas. We have one in Houston. We have one in California. Many of them I have actually spoken at. But we have, you know, simply a program that many people don't have growing up in school. So I wasn't taught about the knowledge of self. I think a knowledge of self is a prerequisite to our problems here in America. So I can give you sports, I can give you money, I can give you clothes, but if I don't give you a right mindset, you will tear up everything that I give you. Just like people say in the community, we need more schools, we need more restaurants, we need this. And yes, we need all of that. But if I don't raise the black man and woman up to be able to run these different businesses or run these different programs, then they're going to be destroyed anyway. So we can talk about what we have built physically, but I think the greatest thing to build is the black man and woman. So I think what we have for them is a program. We have discipline for them. We have examples for them. And we have a study group for them as well, where we can come in every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, every Sunday, and get news that we can use that can make our life better. Because I think a lot of our youth are suffering from purpose. We're suffering from examples. We're suffering from a model. And we're suffering from the lack of self, the lack of knowledge of self, and the lack of knowledge of God, the reality of God. Because when you're growing up thinking that God is in the sky and that God is a mystery, you think that everything that's happening to you right now is supposed to happen. You think your family is supposed to be poor. You think you are supposed to be dead. You think you are supposed to be going through the injustice that we're going through, but that's not necessarily the case. So when you understand that you have the power, you have dominion, and the God is within yourself, that empowers the youth to not just take on the environment that he's in. He changes his environment through his mind, not allowing the environment to change his mind.
Man, that's deep. With a lot of power and that influence, and just deep, I guess, jumping into that psyche, man. Oh, that wasn't me that time. I am. Let's see. Do I need to lean back a little bit more? How much charge you got?
I think that's good if you don't move.
All right. So being all together up to this point, how long have you been in the Nation of Islam?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah. This year actually made 5. This month is actually going to make 5 years.
Okay. And have you had a chance to meet the minister himself?
Yes, 3 times.
Oh man, how long were you in there when you met him, before you met him the first time?
3 years. I was in there for 3 years. I had made a great impact on social media, brought a lot of people in the nation, brought a lot of people in the Nation of Islam. Downloaded and uploaded so many clips of the minister to where it reached. I had over like 500 million plus views on my Facebook alone. Of course, I had 40 million on YouTube. A lot of those were his. So the word got around about the work that I was doing. So by the time I met him, he had already knew who I was because of the people around him sharing the work that I was doing. When I met him, man, the energy was so crazy. And there are people actually online saying that they cried when they watched the video and that they can literally feel the energy through the phone watching the video, because I definitely admire him, man. He has saved my life. Not that I was a murderer or a killer, but he has given me a new outlook on life. He has given me vision. He has given me wisdom and understanding that I can now pass down to my children. My son actually can't go to sleep without listening to the minister. He actually has to listen to him on his way to sleep. So he has changed my life, and he has allowed me to change many other people's life. So that experience, man, is really unexplainable. All I can say is that it was blacktastic.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love watching the minister speak. I mean, I'm still by faith Christian, non-denominational. Well. Okay, so we get into that. But no one can deny, especially being a black man, especially operating in a land that's, you're disenfranchised, you always having to feel like you have to depend on someone else to give you the better job. I'm so thankful, like, the encouragement, and I'm so happy, like, the internet now allows me to bypass having to ask for a handout, asking the man, quote unquote, to give me a job. So I think that's dope, man. But like with the minister, who has such a big presence, we know now he himself, they tried to remove or have removed him from Facebook, Instagram as well, right? So is it both they removed?
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
So all social media, he's been banned.
Yeah, his profile has been banned.
Wow. So you see a lot of people try to paint him as a hate monger, anti-Semite. With him being banned, like, what would be your response to that, to the social media banning him and the misconception?
I would say that all praise is due to Allah, because a world that is built up on a world that is built up on falsehood hates the truth. And that just goes to show to me a little bit more who he actually is. Christ was hated. Jesus was hated. It said that we will be hated for his name's sake. So even when my social media was deleted or terminated, I mean, it hurt because I put so much work in to do it. But at the same time, I rejoice because I feel like, okay, that's what's supposed to happen. See, if I'm following Christ and Christ says, when you follow me, you're going to be hated on, you're going to be lied on, you're going to be persecuted, you're going to be crucified. If I'm following Christ for real and I'm not going through any type of crucifixion, I'm not being hated on, I'm not being persecuted, am I really following the right person? That's the question that, you have to ask yourself. We have to ask ourselves. I have to ask myself. So the reason I responded, his profile got removed because I don't believe the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan got removed. He said, I can't die. He's not saying that his finite body can't die. We all know we all have our time to physically go. But Farrakhan is more than just a body. He's more than just a finite flesh. He is a mindset, if you ask me. So if I'm still on social media, the minister's still on social media. If 19 Keys still on social media, the minister's still on social media. If Reza Islam is still on social media, the minister is still on social media. So he always teaches us, don't worship me. There's only one God. Worship no God but Allah. It's the principles that's within me. It's the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that's within me that you really have fallen in love with. That knowledge is still on social media. It's still on Instagram. It's still on YouTube. And it's still on Facebook. So I think that is just an example of what I'm going to have to go through if I'm truly following his footsteps. And the way that he handled it, I think was just so G. And when I say G, I'm not talking about gangster, but so godlike, because he didn't, really care at all. He said he knew this was going to happen. They have to shut him up because in the Quran, the devil says, respite me until the day that they are raised. So if he's saying respite me until the day that they are raised, what he's saying is delay my doom and I'm going to make all of them deviate. In the scripture in the Bible, it says that he's going to make the world a habitation of devils. He deceived the whole world. Well, that's what he's doing today. That's why every day we got the strip club open. Every day you can go to the alcohol clinic. Every day you can go get an abortion. Because they want you to go out and do all these different things that's going to be contrary to the will of God. In fact, it says in the Quran, Satan make evil first seeming. What do you mean by that? We run around here and we think we're doing the work of God. Like in the Bible, it talks about they ran up to Jesus and said, Lord, Lord, you see all these great things I'm doing in your name? He said, turn away from me, you who practice lawlessness. So he's going to strive to take as many of us down with him because his time is already up. All we have to do is rise up because his time is really already up. We're waking up to who he is. We're waking up to what he's doing with the chemtrails, what he's doing with the water, what he's doing with the food, what he's doing with the school. Our people are waking up. But once we mobilize, unite, and truly start to do something for ourselves, we'll see how powerful we are and how weak that he really is. So my response is, man, we just got to continue to push and don't look at that as necessarily a hit because we're taught every knock is a boost. Every knock is a boost. So by him doing that, more people are looking at why they take him down. Let me go check out his lecture and see what he's saying. So it's going to work out for the greater good in the end.
I look at you, man, and it's amazing to see such a young person so on fire, so passionate for God. But we don't see that as often no more, right? Of course, I'm only 35. But like looking back at like the movement with the Nation of Islam during, the civil rights heyday or whatnot, you saw a lot of people getting active, not only in the Nation of Islam, but you had some that got active behind the movement of Dr. King as well. Why do you feel like today there is such a disconnect between the youth in the mosque or the youth and the church?
There's two sides to that because on my side, and it's because I'm in it, I see a lot of youth. You got Golden Child, who's blowing up. Nilam, who's blowing up, just signed with Diddy, I think, or something like that. You got Reza Islam, I'm talking about hundreds, millions, reaching millions of people like myself. You got 19 Keys, who's reaching millions of people like myself. So there's a lot of people in the Nation of Islam that are very young, especially if you go on Facebook. If you ever came to a Savior's Day, you would see how many young people it is, how many people are in a drill competition. But I think the reason we don't see it, or it's not attractive, maybe, like it was in the past, is because Satan has turned up his game. So if I got social media and I can throw out propaganda, if I got social media and I can give you so many ideologies and philosophies, then the youth are confused and don't know where they want to go. That's what COINTELPRO was created to destroy black militant organizations. COINTELPRO, J. Edgar Hoover in the documents talked about, I'm going to discredit this leader. I'm going to call this person a hate teacher. I'm going to stop the rise of the Messiah. Some say the rise of the black Messiah. That's what all this is for, so they can create an atmosphere to turn off the youth. And then I think we need more examples to show and prove what a God is. The reason they're attracted to the athletes, the reason they're attracted to the hip hop and the rappers is because the youth is seeing somebody who can take their mom and take them out the hood. The youth is seeing somebody with jewelry on their arm. They seeing somebody with a nice car. This is what we want to have. As guys, there's nothing wrong with having money, good homes, friendship of all walks of life. In fact, that's what the God promised us if we submit. So even in the scripture it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all these things will be added to you. So the enemy, he feeds our people with, hey, man, I want you to talk about this. Hey, man, I want you to talk about rapping and killing. You may say, Brother Ben, you making it up. You can go on YouTube right now and type in JT the Bigger Figure. He talks about it all the time. He talks about when he signed to a record deal and he began to change his rap to more positivity. The rap label came down and said, hey, man, you going to put some more killing in there? You going to put some more robbing in there? Because they know that's what's going to sell to our youth. So when our youth don't understand that these rappers are not really living like this, when they understand that these rappers really got real estate, really got farms, really not living that lifestyle because they're going to jeopardize all these millions of dollars. Now our youth are saying, well, I ain't going to be able to make millions in the church, but it look like I can make it in the rap. But what they got to understand is, see, when Satan gives you something, or the devil gives you something, it's going to have strings attached to it. You got to compromise your righteousness. You got to compromise your principles. And I've seen and talked with brothers who said, I don't want to rap about this. I don't want to talk about this, but I know this was going to make me famous. I know this was going to put me on. But what they'll find is you're going to get all that money and you're never going to be satisfied. You're going to want more money. You're going to want more money because you're seeking something that's going to fulfill a void. But that void is never going to be fulfilled because you're not being who you really are. That ain't what you really want to talk about. You know your cousin just got killed from gun violence. You know your auntie just got killed because she was on that dope. But this is what you rapping about. So you're trying to fill a void, and that void that you want to fill is really doing something for the greater good. It's really doing something that's going to impact people because that's what we are by nature, God. So we are meant to serve. We are meant to give impact. And when you're in that type of limelight to where you're talking about something you really don't live, it's not really going to fulfill you like you think it is.
I want to segue to this because like when you talk about void, you know, the country right now is filling a void with the tragic death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and the other passengers that was on the helicopter. And a lot of people are trying to search for an answer, right? If there is a God, why did, not only is one thing for adults to die who live their full lives, excuse me, it's one thing for adults to pass away who live full lives, but then when you see teenagers, young people on there who even life was just beginning for them, how do you console those who are trying to find truth in God and a God truly existing in such a traumatic, tough time?
You know, the Quran talks about Allah knowing what we know not.
Bear with me. Bear with me. I'm gonna change that battery out in your pack, and we're gonna come right back to it.
Oh, this one. No, I'm good. What's going on, family, man? We just doing a little break on the interview, man. Should I be screen recorded? It would be good because he's recording on the little thing. So as y'all can see, we in the little, we're in the studio. Y'all can see me right there. But it'll be coming out in like sections and stuff like the Vlad TV. So if you wanna screen record it, it's cool. It's pretty dope, man. I can't wait to see it, man. I just pray that Allah is blessing me to give good answers that's gonna bring value, to the people. That's my only prayer, man. Y'all pray for me, man. Tomorrow, me and Jake have, God willing, a nice deal on the table. And if this deal come through, it's gonna really change our lives, man. So y'all pray for you, brother, man, that this thing come through tomorrow morning. I'm gonna put y'all back so I can be ready. Well, I can wait. What y'all think about the interview so far, though, family? Y'all think I'm doing pretty good, man? Man, I can't wait to see you guys who coming to Savior's Day. I see you, Sonny. Let me see. I see you in here, Sonny Child. Are you coming to Savior's Day? Savior's Day? It's gonna be next week, man. It's gonna be off the chain. You ready?
Oh, I got the lead close that door.
Okay.
He was out there waiting the whole time since we
Dang.
started. What's going on, man?
How you doing?
You close that door for me, man.
You coming? Yeah. See y'all next week.
Brother Ben X?
No, I'm haven't met. I'm Leo.
Brother Ben X.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, sir. Likewise.
Pleasure to meet you, man. Huge fan too, bro. Been following you forever, man.
Appreciate it.
All right. So I'm gonna start that Kobe.
Okay.
Farrakhan. Okay. Make sure we still okay. So talking about filling a void. The world, the nation, a family, a country is grieving right now with the untimely death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and all the other passengers that were on that plane. And in the midst of something that's so sudden, so tragic, and we understand that when adults pass away, we grieve. But when you see 3 teenagers who just starting to live life pass away in such a tragic event, you try to find, where is God in all of this? How do you console those who are trying to truly look for consoling in the midst of this and trying to retain or even understand the concept of God and that God is truly in control?
I would say start with the question, where is God in this? I think that's the most beautiful question you can ask in this type of situation. But when you ask that question, don't ask with the wrong spirit. Ask with the right spirit, where is God in this? Because there may be a lesson in it. Allah knows what we know not, and he has an active and permissive will. What I get out of this is, if he's willing to allow or permit children to die who haven't done anything at all, who am I to think that I won't die if I continue to do what I'm doing? Because you have some people who are messing up and we're not merciful, but we're not grateful for the extra days that we have been given when we have messed up. It also talks about in the Quran, speak not of those who have been slain in the way of Allah as dead, though they are not dead, you just comprehend not. So as I said earlier about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, our physical body is going to go. We don't know when it's going to go. We don't know how it's going to go, but it's going to go. So the best thing that we can do is continue to find God, strive to serve God, and make sure that we are impacting people enough so that we can live forever. It reminds me of Moses and the wise man when I think about this, because it talks about, and I'm not saying the answer that Moses gave. I'm not saying the answer that Moses gave is the case here with Gigi, but it talks about Moses seeking wisdom with the wise man, and he was questioning him arrogantly. So when they was on this boat, he poked a hole in the boat and sank the boat. And Moses said, why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense. And it's because somebody was actually coming to actually kill everybody who had the boats. So he says that you have to have a comprehensive knowledge of the wise man in order for you to walk with me. talked about killing young children. It was because these young children was going to grow up and mess up the lives of the fathers, or they was going to throw off the plan that they had. So oftentimes when we think about this, we just have to continue to seek what is the wisdom in this? Where can I find wisdom in this? And then just be okay and understand that we all are going to die. We all have a time period, whether if it's young, whether if it's old, but we just have to look at that as a reminder. I got to get my life right. We got to look at that as a reminder that my mom is still here. My father is still here. What can I now do to make our relationship better? As a man, if I have a freak accident, is my family going to be straight? Do I got life insurance? Are they going to have to do a GoFundMe? What's going to be the condition of my family, my wife, my son, my daughter, my husband, if you are a woman? We have to think about those different things because, you know, from the beginning of time all the way up into now, even to the future, somebody's always going to die. Somebody going to die in a plane crash. Somebody going to die from the flu. Somebody going to die from being shot. So I don't believe that there's a mystery guy that's going to swoop in like a ghost and stop a bullet from hitting somebody. I just think these are not losses. These are lessons that we should take on moving forward, because Kobe Bryant, to me, is still here if we listen to the Mamba mentality and we take it in. Kobe Bryant can live within me. Kobe Bryant can live within you. So the same impact that he had is the same impact that I had. Energy is not created nor destroyed. So that same energy and spirit can live within me and we can keep that legacy going. But if we just look at somebody like a Nipsey Hussle and we idolize them as a human being and think he's the only person who can do that, if we don't live on and take that legacy longer, because he said it's a marathon. We're taught that the race is not to the swift nor the strong, but to those who can endure to the end. So if I can take that inside of me, Nipsey Hussle is still alive. Khalid Muhammad is still alive. All of our great leaders, Malcolm X, you got Noble Drew Ali, you got Dick Gregory. We got all these great people, Marcus Garvey, who are still alive, but they just alive within us. So that's how I would console them. Just say, hey, man, just continue to seek wisdom and understand that everything, you know, eventually happens for a reason if we can understand the reason and look out for the lesson.
Man, just blew that one out the park. There's no rebuttal with that, man. So with Kobe Bryant, and I kind of want to stay on this because this has been hot this week, right? Gayle King was interviewing Lisa Leslie. Mm-hmm. And the clip was released of Gayle King bringing up Kobe Bryant's rape charge to Lisa Leslie. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people gave her a lot of backlash. I mean, Snoop Dogg jumped on her, called her like a funky dog face bitch or whatever. A lot of people were upset with Gayle for asking Lisa that question. Do you feel like that question was inappropriate? What that she asked Lisa? How do you feel about that clip?
Absolutely.
Especially being the editor, you would know.
Yeah, I definitely feel that it was an inappropriate question. Definitely at the right time. You can try to get away with the, I'm a journalist, I'm seeking, but you also have to realize that you're also a human being and that he's also a human being, and that human being has a family and daughters that are still here. So in that aspect, it goes back to what I was saying about that we can live on through our children. See, because I don't necessarily believe that eternal life is my physical life being eternal, but it's my name and my impact, my energy, my mind being eternal. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that we can live on through the DNA of our children. Well, Brother Ben, I can't have children. My sperm don't work. Or, Brother Ben, I had a miscarriage. Well, the same way that we can put sperm into a woman and that can create a baby, and I live on through that DNA, I can also impute knowledge into your mind, and I can live on through your mind. What's your point of saying all this, though? Kobe Bryant is physically dead. Now they want to kill him in the media. They want to kill him mentally. So every time I spoke about this today, with our leaders, everybody got a flaw. I don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Hebrew, you eat the sun, you're Kemetic, you're by name. I don't care what you are. Everybody has a flaw and everybody has a but. So with our leaders, yes, they're going to eventually die, but they want to destroy them in the media. That's what COINTELPRO is for. That's why when you think about Farrakhan, some people think about anti-Semite. That's why when you think about Farrakhan, some people think about a hate teacher. That's the same thing with anybody else who stands up to bring us truth that's going to make our life better. They want to crucify him mentally in our minds so that we say Kobe Bryant was a good basketball player, but he did this. Michael Jackson was a great performer, but he did this. Prince was a great performer, but he did this. Malcolm, Khalid Muhammad, Dick Gregory, all these people, Marcus Garvey was a great performer, but they did this. So they want to destroy the idea and the truth. Because if somebody takes the truth that he stood on, if somebody takes the mentality and ideas and ideology that they stood on, that person is gone, but I got another one coming up. So I got another leader coming up because I didn't let that idea be destroyed in my mind. So when we talk about the devil destroying the devil, we're not saying destroying Caucasians like that. We're talking about destroying the mindset that has us in this condition that we're in. We're talking about destroying the mindset that causes us to think that we're inferior. So they want to destroy us in the media. They want to destroy us, our reputation. They want to destroy how people think about us. Now I can kill him as a whole because we know that all of us are going to die physically. We know all of us are going to eventually get old. We know all of us are going to eventually maybe retire from what we're doing if we have that mindset. But if I can destroy Bill Cosby's legacy, if I can destroy all of these people's legacy, the people coming up under them, all the good that they did, we can destroy that too, and we can kill them all. Now we can raise them up. So that's what they did in slavery. I would take the father away, I would take the daughter away or the mother away, and I would raise up the son how I want them to grow up. I'm going to paint them in the image that I want them to be in. Now I'm still controlling the narrative. So the minister said, if we kill all of our enemies, all of our slave masters, they will still be in power. How is that possible? Because the mindset that they have may still be in the black man. Now you're looking at a black man with a white mindset. So we have to kill the mindset. That's how we can kill the being, and that's the mindset that they have about us. Let's smear his image. Let's crucify him in the media, so we can never produce somebody that was just like him, who may not have the flaws that their brother had.
According to CNN today, Dwayne Wade's son, Zion, is now identifying himself as a female and, want to be addressed as Zaya. Mm-hmm. Instead of being a he say, I would prefer to be called a her. Mm-hmm. Instead of being, or instead of being a he, I prefer to be called a she. Mm-hmm. Instead of be calling a him, I'd rather be called a her. What do you think about, we're such in a gender blended, a gender diverse culture nowadays? Like, how do you speak to the youth that's like really dealing with this sexual identity in today?
To be honest, man, I just speak straight words. It's natural by nature for the man to be with the female. Everything is grown in pairs, and God created us in a way for us to reproduce ourselves like everything else reproduces itself. So if it's not reproducing, then I don't think it's natural. Or if it's not capable of reproducing, because I know some women can't necessarily get pregnant, but if it's not capable of reproducing something naturally, I don't think that's the way. And I think it's not all the way that people are born this way, I think, because Dr. Wesley has a book called The Assault and Attack on the Black Man. And there are certain medicines like Depo-Provera that sisters are taking. There are certain foods like soy. There are certain drugs like weed that has THC, high THC levels, that masculinizes the woman and feminizes the man. Doesn't necessarily mean after you hit a blunt, you're going to be flaming gay. That's not what that means. But it does tamper with our testosterone. So when a mother has a child in her stomach and she's eating certain foods, these foods are going into the child. Certain thoughts is going into the child. That's why in the Nation of Islam, we are advising our women not to go out and watch bloody movies and murderous movies and have bad thoughts, because these thoughts is going to trickle down into the child. So I think the children come out feeling this way because the estrogen and the testosterone is thrown off, not by God, but by a scientist who understands the body and throwing it off for us. And then we have a world that makes evil first seeming, as I said, so they come out confused. So if you have if you have somebody who thinks a certain way as a child, if your child comes out a murderer or comes out slapping people, you're going to correct that. Nobody says, well, that's just how he is. That little brother, he just out there murdering me. That's just how he got to be. No, you will correct that because by nature, that's not the right thing to do. By nature, that's not the way that we're supposed to be. But as a father and as a mother, when you become, I would say docile, when you allow some of these things to happen and you don't check it, as a 12-year-old child, as a 10-year-old child, I probably want to be a whole bunch of things. And it probably was a whole bunch of wrong things. And once I got corrected, I changed my mind and I got back on the right path. So I don't think just because somebody comes out gender is so-called confused that we should just let them be something that's in contrary to our way of life as Muslims, as Christians, as people who are of God, because there are a lot of people who are supposed to be of God who agree with this. And the scripture says in Ezekiel, if you don't warn them, that if they continue to do, that they will surely die if they continue to go contrary, basically I'm paraphrasing to my way, then when they die or when they suffer chastisement, that blood is going to be on your hands. And we know about Sodom and Gomorrah. We know about these things that's happening. We know that this is an abomination. It doesn't necessarily mean that we throw away the child, that D-Wade can't love his child. We love all of our people, all black people. But we have to realize that we don't have to agree with the lifestyle that they have. So if my brother's out there robbing and killing, I don't have to agree with that just to love him. Same thing with the child. I can love him. He can love him. That can be your brother. But agreeing with that lifestyle and supporting that lifestyle, I don't think that's something that I would do or that anybody who are following that law, if you're under God, I don't think that's what we should be doing.
Right on, man. Well, for 2020, again, you got the classes going on. You got the book out. Can you give us any insight of what's moving forward that's on the horizon real soon?
Honestly, man, I partnered up with a brother named Brother Jake Taylor Jacobs, man, and we are really every week helping our people own their own bank. There are so many people that are putting their money in the bank, bragging about having 50,000 in the bank, 100,000 in the bank, not knowing there's a reason you can't go to the bank and pull all of your money out at one time, because in that particular case, they're using your money and they're flipping your money and they're making money off of your money. And you check these bank accounts, you may get 1% of your money, if you're getting 1% of your money. So we're teaching people what the white folks is doing, which we wasn't allowed to do back in the Jim Crow era, which is have a bank account and a cash reserve with life insurance. So a lot of our people right now, if we die, what are we doing usually when we die? We doing a what?
Raising money.
Raising money, GoFundMe.
Yep.
But other communities not doing that because they have their life set up and they're living their life right now. So if you kill me or if something happens, not only is my funeral taken care of without a GoFundMe, but my family getting paid out $400,000. My family being paid out $500,000. And if I got a certain policy, my people is getting paid out $1 million. So my family is straight as a man if anything happens to me. So we are teaching our people how to buy wealth. It takes time to build wealth. So my business may not be producing right now multi-millions, but if I spend the money that I got correctly, if anything happens before I get there, they're going to have multi-millions or they're going to have six figures, whatever the case may be. And with the bank, you pulling it out tax-free. It's tax-free money that you pulling out legally from your own bank. You can actually become the lender now. The Bible talks about being the lender, not the borrower. Then it talks about in the bank, we're talking about getting up to 4 to 12% on interest on your own income. Not only are you not paying the bank back, but your money is growing at 4% and you paying yourself back. And it's only a loan, so there's a lien on your money. What do I mean by that? If you had a bank account, let's say if I set you with a bank account, if you got $100 in it and you take out $50,000 loan, how much money do you have left?
You said if I had, say that one more time.
We set you up with your own bank.
Okay.
You got $100,000 in it. You take out a loan to go do a business deal.
Right.
You take out a loan to go invest. How much money do you have left?
100,000. I took out a loan. Am I taking it from my own bank?
Yeah.
Oh, they only got half left.
So you got $50,000 left.
Right.
That's if you had that type of bank. But with this type of bank, if you take out a loan for $50,000, you still got $100,000 in it. It only took out of your death benefit. So as you pay your loan back, as you pay that back, it's going to increase your death benefit, and it's going to basically be putting that money back in your bank without you losing the amount of money that you can pull off of.
I got you.
So this is the power of knowledge that our people aren't getting. So in the future, we want to be able to, well, we already doing this, teaching this free to our people every Saturday. All you have to do is text BBX class to 555-888. That's BBX class to 555-888. I send that text out every Friday. If you can't get on the text, another way you can go to kbmasterclass.com. That's kbmasterclass.com. And other than that, man, continue to spread the teachings of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Continue to save my people as I'm doing. I want to eventually make our course free to the people. And just continue to grow my platform. I want to be able to produce everything that our people need. So, for example, YouTube, my own podcast, which I got, Brother Ben X Podcast. I want to come out with a weekly series that our people can relate to. They can see themselves in the image. They can see themselves in the picture. But I'm also slipping guidance into the film. So for our people who don't have a father figure, for our people who don't really have a mother that's giving them guidance, they can get that through our films. And the minister calls that putting medicine in dog food. So I'm not changing and making it too preachy. It's still going to be something you can relate to, but I'm going to slip that wisdom in so that our people can continue to rise. That's what I have for the future.
Well, Brother Ben X, man, I appreciate you. I'm gonna have to bring you back, man, because it's gonna be a lot of a lot of topics coming up in the future, man. That we're gonna need your input, man.
Well, I also appreciate you, man, for allowing me to come on a platform because Black media, I believe, is so very important. Every day we see the news, somebody dying, somebody got killed, somebody got ran over, somebody got a divorce. We're always spitting out this negative stuff, which lowers our frequency and vibration. It makes perfect sense why so many people are waking up depressed. So many people are waking up stressed out, low spirits, because when you get up in the morning, when you check in the shade room, when you get up in the morning, when you check in CNN, when you check in Channel 5, it's always something negative. It's always a beef. This person shot this person beat this person up. So I appreciate you for bringing me on to not talk about something negative, but talk about something positive, because whatever we put in our mind really is what we're going to go out and act. So there's so many people that's acting out foolishly. It's so many people that's acting out just so crazy because in their subconscious mind, it's so much craziness in it. It's so much filth in it. And we got to understand that whatever is in our subconscious mind and the self-image in our subconscious mind is what we're going to act out. That's why so many people are broke, because they think that money is the root of all evil when it don't even say that. How does that affect me? Because if I believe in my subconscious mind that money is the root of all evil, every time you get money, what's going to happen? Yep. I'm going to blow it away. So I'm not evil. But when you realize, man, that you change your condition and you change your mind and you change your mentality, we really can change the world. So I'm wearing somebody's mind. This happened to be mine, but I'm wearing my mind. You wearing somebody's mind. My shoes, I'm wearing somebody's mind, because everything starts with a thought. In the same way we read about a God saying being it is, we too can say being it is. So I thank you guys for saying being it is with this platform, because we need our own media as well.
Hey, man, being it is.
Yes, sir. That's the name of my next book, by the way, as well. I didn't promote that, but my next book is going to be called Being It Is, talking about how you can actually speak something into existence and you can bring it into existence through, your own will, through your own desires. So when you think about how buildings are made, somebody said, hey, man, I'm tired of, living out in the jungle. I want to build a house. This camera that we're speaking on, somebody said, I want to be able to document and film. The phones that we own, somebody said, I'm tired of sending letters back and forth, having to wait. I want to build text messages. Somebody else said, well, man, I want to see you face to face. And we're continuing to advance humanity. Now it's time for us as Black people to say, I'm tired of the condition that I'm in. Wake up, change our condition with our creative minds, so we can live in heaven at once, right here on earth.
There we go, man. Well, I appreciate you, Brother Ben X.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, you're going to be back real soon, man. I got to have you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.